Hello guys, welcome back to this tutorial. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about variables and rules for creating variable name, print, input function, and comment. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So I already have a Python file called first.py, which I'm going to use to test out or try out some code here. So first, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to make the variable name, or let's say my name. Then I'm going to put my name into it, Idoko Emmanuel. So I have a variable now, and then this variable has a value, Idoko Emmanuel. So variables are like containers that that contains content. So this is the container, while this is the content. And in Python, if you want to write any text or any string, we call text string in Python, and numbers are integers, int. You put them into quotes like this. Let's say now I want to write numbers. I don't have to put numbers into quotes, but all I need to do is just put three there, and Python will not wrong me. But if I wrote my name like that, let's say if I had written this name this way, you see that Python is underlining it as something that is what wrong. So whenever I'm writing a string in Python, it must be in a quote because this is what a string. But integers are not to be in quotes. If you put an integer into a quote, then it's no longer numbers, but what alphabet or string in Python. So whenever I have this container that has this content, and I want this container to give me its content, what I will use to get the content from the container is the command called print. So I can say print my name. So as you can see now, inside this function, I did not use my name as in, I did not use quote for my name. If I use quote for this my name, Python will see it as what? As just a string and not just a variable. It will not see it as a container, but just a content that they are asking him to print. So let me show you an example now. If I want to print like this, first I want to run the command for that Python has to come first. Python, then first dot py. Then you can see Python is giving me what? My name and not the content of the container, Idoko Emmanuel. So if I want Python to give me the content of the container or the value of the variable, my name, I will remove the quotes. And then Python will be seeing this now as what? As a variable and not just a value that they are asking him to print. Sorry, I'm interpreting Python as him. You can use anything for it. So save your work. I forgot to save mine. Control S. So once I save my work, and then I run it again. Then you see that we have what now? Idoko Emmanuel and not my name. So this is how we can use print in Python. But before we continue, I would like to tell you some rules that guide variable names in Python. Whenever you are naming a variable in Python, you are not supposed to start the naming with what? A number. If I use a number, Python will not accept this as a variable name. I can use a number in between or after. I can put a number anywhere, but Python do not accept a number as the first character. And then another thing you're not supposed to use as a variable name or even in the variable name is any symbol like and or asterisk or hash or dollar sign. Python do not accept that in a variable name, but you can use this underscore here. Python will accept it. Then Python has some functions or some names that they are already using. Let me bring it to your term. There are some names that Pythons are already using. So you are not supposed to use those names that Python is already using. Let's say for example, I change this variable name to like 4. Python will not accept this as a variable name because Python is already using it. Or let's say I change the variable name to like print. You can see that we use print here as a function. So Python will not accept this as a print. And if I try to like run my code now, save it, and run my code now, you see that it will be giving me what? An error. You see the error name, my name is not defined, something like that. So you must not use print as what? As a variable name. You can use any other name, but all those names that Python is already using, you are not supposed to use it. So whenever you are naming a variable, you should make sure you are using alphabet to start it. You can include number in between, and then you can use this character here. You can put this one anywhere you want to, anywhere you want to put it, either before or at the end or in between. Python will accept it. Let's for example, I went to that. I will go to my name now, and I'll use that slash instead of normal. And once I save my code, I can run it, and it will run fine. So that's how it is. So another thing I want to tell you is that Python is case sensitive. In Python, you are not supposed to use, whenever you are using a lowercase, you have to make sure that you know that you are using a lowercase. Python sees a lowercase as a lowercase and then uppercase as uppercase. Let's say I have this particular variable name now, and then I paste it in another place, and then change the first character to a capital letter, and then save it. So if I ask, let's say I change the value of this one to like Idoko and save it. If I intend to print this variable or this the content of this container, Python will give me the content of this container rather, because the name here matches exactly to this name. They are not the same thing. Else Python would have overwrite it. Let's say if I'm using my name as in small letter my name now, you see that Python is not going to give me this, but Python is going to give me this because this variable name here has overwrite the first variable name. So let me show you. I'll run my code now. I see Python is giving me Idoko. But once I change this small letter M to like capital letter M now, and I save my code and try to run it, you see that Python is giving me Idoko Emmanuel now, which is the name of this variable. So whenever you are naming a variable or whenever you are writing any variable name in Python, be careful of the case because Python is what case sensitive. Then another thing I want to teach you in this course is how to like accept value from the output and not from the input. So we are using this text editor to like input or command some functions, but here we accept some values. So if I want to like accept some value here and print it out, I can still do it. Let's say for example, I'll change this my name now to like your name. So I'm expecting you now to give me your name and let me print out your name and not my name. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to use the function input and then put this Idoko now into parentheses. But in this case, I'm not going to use my name again. I'm expecting you to give me your name. So I can just write a message for you. Please enter your name. Please enter your name as in form of question. Please enter your name. So whenever I run this code now, Python will ask you here that we are going to like get the output to like enter your name. And when you enter your name there, Python will print your name for you here. So let's run our code and see. So you see Python is asking, please enter your name. And then let's say my name is John. You see Python will print John. So there's another thing I want to do. What if we want to say, John, you are welcome? If you want to print something like, John, you are welcome, this is what you're supposed to do before the um, uh, before we print this your name. We are supposed to put a string. We are supposed to tell Python to print this string for us. Not everything, but we just put the string for only the value that we want Python to print attached to the variable name. So let's say welcome, welcome John. So whenever you want to print something like this in Python, you're supposed to use plus to concatenate them. Plus will join them together. Without plus, you see that they are giving us what an error here. So I will have to put plus in between them. If I'm not using plus, I'm supposed to use a comma. Let's say a comma like this, and then Python will know that this is different from this. But without them now, you see that Python will give us an error. Let's try to run our code. You see it's giving us an error. But if I use a plus or a comma in between, you see that Python will accept it and will run our code as supposed. So can you see it? It's asking us, please enter your name. And then if I enter my name, John, you see Python is telling us, welcome, John. So I believe by now you know how to use variable, how to use print, and how to use input. Then one more thing you have to learn is comment. Comment is what we use to like explain our code. So whenever I want to explain this, I can say the next line will print my name. So this is what we call comment in Python. So whenever I put this in Python, Python will not execute this code. This hash is telling Python to leave this code and execute the rest. Jump the code and execute the rest. And then there is a place where you're supposed to like put more than one line as a comment. Let's say you want to use more than one line as a comment. Let's say I want to write this program is going to get a name from our user and print it out. So once I write something like this, or I put it in a form that is long, let's say I put it like this in this form. Let's say I want to write something in multiple lines and use it as a comment. How we do it in Python is we use three quotes. So instead of using hash, if I use the hash sign, it will only work for one line. But when I use quotes, three quotes like this, you see that all the line below it is now like a comment. It's now printing out like a comment. So, but this is the right way to do it. You print it, you put the three quotes where you are starting and where you are finishing. So can you see? I have this now as a comment. So whatever I write in between this my code, they are not going to. I write them as in form of comments. They are not going to print out. Python is going to jump the first line, and Python is going to jump this ones because they are what's referred to as what comments in Python. So once I run my code now, you see that my code will still run as expected. Enter your name. I will say Joy, and then you see welcome Joy. So I believe in this tutorial you learned a lot. So